YouTube. So, welcome everyone. Happy to see you. Excited to see you today. It is October 14th, so 2.5 months left before the end of the year.
If you filed an extension for your personal taxes, they have to be filed by tomorrow. So just so you know that. Um,
we're full of tons of.
those of you that do not prepare in advance, like myself, know what your deadlines are. So
And thankfully, we have a CPA that did it for us,
yes,
right?
done, checked
Done.
off.
Well, anybody have any exciting announcements other than our official live stream to YouTube on this channel? Anybody have anything that they want to talk about that's happened in the last week or so?
I finished all my AHIP training. Woohoo!
Trisha, did you do yours yet? Did you finish yours yet?
No, I haven't. I'm actually on an airplane right now. So
Oh,
if you can
hi,
see,
airplane.
we just landed. Hi, we just landed. So I'm in Austin today. It's College
Okay.
Station
And then
tomorrow.
you're almost
But
home, right? You're
then
almost.
I'm home and then I'm done for like 3 weeks. So that's my goal, is to knock that out this weekend.
Awesome.
Good. Awesome. Well, big congrats to Cheryl. Almost congrats to you. I know that's a big checkbox. And I'm excited, that we'll have some Medicare people on our team that we can say, I don't know, call Cheryl. I don't know, call Trisha and match up those appointments. I think that's awesome. We have a ton of new activity, a ton of new teammates. Like I said, it's October 14th. I think we have 7 on our team so far. I'm super excited because several of them are very young, like 21, 22. So, that's exciting to me. And
It is. Yeah. That's we were talking about that, about the businesses that are the waves we've been a part of. And it's the flagship product of the IUL is a really good story for young people. Young, healthy people can make that work the way we talk about it in Unqualify Me very, very easily. So I'm excited to get some troops, if you will, in that demographic, because we get enough good people telling that story, and that'll make a big impact on their future moving forward. They're also, as we know, going to change jobs. They're going to leave companies. They're going to change professions more than any other generation previously, and they're all very, very entrepreneurial minded, and all about being independent. And that's what that gives them, is that portable pension plan. So I'm excited about that demographic for sure.
I think it's also, I was talking to Reagan. So we're on Parents Weekend right now with Reagan in Boston. And I was talking to her last night. We were just talking about friends and personalities. And, you guys know I don't like a lot of negativity, right? And the Debbie Downers and the Eeyores and all that. I'm like, stop. No, 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 no. Happy, positive conversation. And she was talking about that about one of her friends, and she was just like, I had to almost distance myself a little because it was just always complaining over and over and over and over. And I think that's something that you learn from our business and from our industry, because we work on mindset so much, right? And because we always talk about possibilities, and we talk about opportunities, and we talk about our dreams and our goals, and instead of looking at obstacles, we look at options, right? I think that for my kids specifically, and also for us, that it's just kind of been ingrained into who we are, as far as not listening to that negativity, not talking through that negativity. And I think that's a really important, what's the word I'm looking for?
The skill.
Skill, but also from this business, like a unintended consequence, maybe, right? Just
As a
this,
parent, for sure.
but also just as this business, like what it brings you. And Gail, you're really big about that too, about mindset and intention. But I think a lot of it came, and maybe you would disagree with me, but I know a lot of ours came from this industry, right? It came from, reading books like Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and reading and listening to John Maxwell, and looking at the leadership things, and just understanding how powerful our mind is. And to me, I'm excited for the young kids that are joining our team, because the world is their oyster, right? Like it literally is. They have all the possibilities in the world. But also because it's a perfect time to start training their minds on what is possible and what they can do and how to look at the world. And, you guys have heard me say it a million times, but if you turn everything off and walk outside, even when it's raining, Is it when it's raining even?
It's a little
I
different.
bet it's even. I
You can
can't
hear-
do it in Boston.
You can
but-
hear some nature. Might not be the birds.
You hear the birds even when it rains. But you can hear it, right? Like it's good and it sounds good and it makes you feel good. And I think that's a big thing that we all need to remember is that we control our minds, we control our activity, we control our outcome. It might suck sometimes, right? Because I think sometimes it might suck, but we just have to say, all right, it doesn't matter. We're just going to keep doing it. We're going forward and everything's going to work out. And I think it does at the end of the day. So,
Yeah, there's I heard this again yesterday probably, or walked by a poster with it on there or something, and it's kind of it reminds me of I used to have a picture hanging on my wall in my office back when we had a brick and mortar office in Roswell that was this golf green and this clear picture of, and I've never been a big golfer, but I thought I was going to be at one point and never made time to do it. Something about
it was a
having-
great
having
accessories
children,
photo.
yeah.
If you guys
So if
remember,
you remember
accessories.
Successories, it was the I guess that was all the Covey stuff that kind of spun off into that Successories store. Started with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, it was this picture of a flag on a golf green, and the flag was crystal clear and the green was crystal clear, but it was looking through about 100 trees, and it said that obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off your dreams. And for me, I think that's a big. We can get stuck in all the stuff that's going on. It's easy, regardless. I can tell you, regardless of which source of information you go to, and whatever it is, it's feeding you anger and frustration, and so I challenge everybody to stop. Not remove yourself from your civic duty and your responsibility to be a member of our society, but don't let it dominate your thought process. Don't let it dominate your mind. Focus on your goals and what you want to have happen, and move in that direction, because that is the only way that you're going to be able to maintain and control your personal economy. We can't control the global economy. We can know about it, but we can't control it. We can be ready for it, and we can't control anything beyond what we can. I think there's a big Irish prayer that was on my grandmother's wall for years, talking about knowing the difference between what you can control and what you can't, and asking for the wisdom to know the difference, right? So it's a very, very important thing to give yourself that and to focus on the good things that are going on, because I can tell you, you look for negative, you'll find it. You look for positive, you'll also find it. So and people are looking for light in their world right now, and I really believe that we have a story, we have a piece that and it was great. We were on Jody's call yesterday, his RMD monthly call, and there were several different conversations about how important it is, how important what we do is, and one of the comments yesterday was, I can't imagine if I hadn't been on somebody's list and they had not thought to call me or had the guts to call me and offer me this opportunity. This wasn't me personally; it was somebody else
That was
speaking.
Person.
It was
No,
Herson.
Raphael.
Raphael was the one that said it. Yeah,
Person
Yeah.
said it too.
well, they probably echoed the sentiment, but it was Raphael that
Right.
I was listening to, and he just said that has really changed his boldness and his approach to people, because he's not gonna be the one that didn't give somebody that he loves or cares about an opportunity, or somebody that. And so we have a tendency when we're doing the approach and contact, and we're getting our growing our networking list, and we're going to go through a few things about the scenario of disaster again, and remind you to stay focused on certain things. But it's very easy for us to worry about what someone else thinks or what the reaction is that we're going to get. And ultimately, the most successful people in this world get really numb to the response. That you can't manage the outcome. You can only manage your input and what your activity is on a daily basis. And thinking that you can manage the outcome by saying the perfect words or by having the perfect line or knowing the most about the products. I use this story a lot. When we were just getting started back in the business with HGI, we went to see a CPA for one of our new teammates. And it was me and Jody Humphrey went to see this CPA. And I can tell you right now, if there's a magic
Forgot about
bullet
that.
or a magic word that can be said between the two of us, we're going to find it. if there's an objection that can be overcome, we're going to overcome it. And it was the smoothest conversation. Jody and I were both on our game, big time. We were saying all the right stuff, and we got done, and they were like, "Why are you here again? I'm a CPA, and I'm not interested in adding anything else to my business." And I mean, they shut us down. And Jody and I walked out. We were laughing when we walked out because we were like, "Man, I was awesome, and you were awesome, and we fed each other, and we went back and forth, and man, we thought we had this thing hit out of the park." And that really goes to show that it's not about having the right words. It's about opening your mouth over and over and over again and getting used to it, getting, just doing it. That's the biggest part of, we talk about math with our kids, you know, our oldest who's getting her PhD in biochemistry has been through more math and chemistry and science than I've ever been or ever thought about going through.
Or ever want.
And
Yeah.
she's talking to our younger ones that were like struggling in concepts, but she said it's not the concepts. You understand the concepts, you just haven't done it enough. You have to drill it and drill it and drill it and drill it. Do more problems. Do more, equations. Don't just get one right and say, "Great, I got it." Find more of them. Go to Google and say chemistry equations for this, and just they'll give you a list of them, and then just do them, do them, do them, do them, do them. The same thing is true here. Is if you want to have a successful prospecting and recruiting side of your business, if you want to be successful at opening outlets, you've got to practice, and you've got to practice over and over and over again. And the great thing is if you practice over and over and over again and you never stop, even the people you screw up on in the beginning are going to come back around later and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, you're actually doing this." And Grant Cardone said it great when he was talking about going live on social media. And he said, "You can go to my YouTube channel and you can go all the way back to the beginning." And he said, "I sucked. I was awful." And he said, "But you got to be bad before you can be decent. And you got to be decent before you can be good. And you got to be good before you can be great. And the only way you get from bad to great is to keep doing it." And so I think that that's really important as we go into this. I know Kimberly's got some things she wants to talk about, but that's really what I want to keep everybody focused on. There's so many nuggets we got yesterday that I want to share too about what we should be focused on. But mostly it's that outlet building, and that the rest of it will happen, just like Raheem showed us last time. So.
But I want to reiterate, and you guys have heard us say this, right? As far as just offering people the opportunity. If Jeannie had stopped and she had just done our plan would have been better than it was. Zero question, right? She still would have served us. But because she went one step forward and she said, "Hey, you might know who I'm looking for," right? You guys know the script. Who do you know that's interested in something flexible, part-time? The money's really good, but I don't just want anyone, or something to the effect, right? She said something like that. And I was like, I need to make more money. I'm on maternity leave. I have 2 babies at home, but that's okay. I can do this too. Like, teach me, show me, give me an opportunity. But because she said that, like, we've literally changed our lives, literally. And some of you guys have heard the story, so you can just listen, and others haven't. But my first plane ride was on my honeymoon. I didn't grow up traveling, right? We had a lake house that was a few hours from our home because my dad couldn't be any further away because he was a prison warden. And if there was a riot that broke out, he had to go back, right? So we couldn't be on an airplane and couldn't leave it to chance. We had to be able to get in a car and go somewhere. My first plane ride was literally on my honeymoon. But since we said yes to this industry and to this business, we've literally traveled the world. We've been to Portugal, we've been to Alaska, we've been to all over Europe, we've been to Hawaii more times than I can count, Mexico more times than I can count. But just take the last 2.5, 3 weeks of our life. Like, our kids have parents weekend, they played each other last weekend, and we were literally able to unplug from our everyday normal, home life and come to New England for literally almost 3 weeks. And we're still working. We're not missing a beat. Our business isn't slowing down. None of that's stopping, but we get to live our life by our design. And it's because someone offered this opportunity. So when you think about, should I talk to them about products or should I talk to them about the business, just talk to them about everything. I promise you, they will tell you what feels best for them. They will tell you what makes sense for them. But you never know whose life you're going to change. And if you'd heard Raphael yesterday talk about his new home and, all that stuff that he talked about, if you'd heard Herson say, thank God somebody had me on their prospect list, one of his guys they've been here literally a year like this week. And one of his top guys at Herson's made at least 200,000 or more. But one of his top guys has two. Like, that is life changing. That is huge. That is crazy, right? To be able to do things like that. So when you go out and talk to people, know that that's the opportunity that you have. I'm going to do things a little backwards today. So the first thing that I want to go over with you guys is the hiring interview. And the hiring interview is something that you're going to hear every single time I do a BOP. You're going to hear me go through these questions. You're not going to know it's the hiring interview unless you work with us and you've practiced it. I'll put this in our WhatsApp after this call, so you have it. It's also in the manual. Everything that we go over is the system, and it's in the manual. But I'm going to go over this right now and just kind of walk through this with you. And you guys, those of you that have had these calls or follow-up calls with me, you're going to know exactly what this is. So let me see if I can get this.
Yep. And remember that if you're brand new and you're just learning about this stuff for the first time, this is not something we're giving you today on this call so you can go out and put it into practice this afternoon by yourself. The system still holds. Your field builder, your trainer would be the one there while you're hearing this going on and while you're learning. So don't get freaked out about, oh my gosh, I can't do this, or this is a lot of information. You're going to see this in live action over and over and over again until you're ready to do it by yourself.
But there's also a system, right? Like, this is a scripted conversation that you have every single time. So I know a lot of you guys have been on a BOP, and at the end of it, you're like, well, that's who we are. And then you got this really awkward pause, right? Like, isn't that great? You want to come work with us? And then you're just like stuck in this, like, where do I go, right? And so the first thing to remember is that the one who asks the most questions is always going to win that conversation, right? And you also control that conversation. So when you get in that weird, awkward lull of whatever you're doing, ask a question and it redirects it, pulls it back in, gives you control again, all of that. But the hiring interview is simple. Oh yeah, I can zoom it in. So first of all, if we've already talked about who they are, especially if it's like a one-on-one BOP or something like that, I'm not going to say, tell me a little bit about yourself, because I've already done that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my next question, like at the end of it, so I'll say, that's a little bit about who we are and what we do. But, Gail, out of what you've seen and heard so far, what intrigues you the most out of what we've talked about? And I'm just going to stop there. What intrigues you the most? Not what do you think? What do you like? Literally, the words I use every single time is what intrigues you the most? Every time. And they're going to tell me. I'd love to, I'm really interested in learning how money works because we were never taught that. I want to make $1 million a year. I want to go to Hawaii. I just want the possibility to make an extra $1,500 a month. Whatever that is, they're going to tell us what intrigues them the most, right?
I'm going to put it in context too. So if you think about it, what Kimberly's talking, and like she said, many of you that have been on calls with her or with us have seen how this flows. But when you get finished with that entire presentation, if that's what you've done, if you've pulled it out and gone through the slides, they've been exposed to our leadership. They've been exposed to our income situation. They've been exposed to the fact that we have great trips and recognition and all those kind of things. And you go right into that instead of just saying, wasn't that neat, right? You have this question that brings it right back around to keep the conversation moving. And it's the same thing, regardless of when or where you are or what you've done to get to that point. But you'll know that when you bring somebody new to the table, or we bring somebody personally to the table, we go through this process exactly the same way.
And, I use this actually twice. So as soon as I finish doing the BOP, right, if we're having a Zoom together and we go through the PowerPoint presentation or whatever, I'm going to go through some of these questions here. And if they're not ready to get started right then at that moment, then I'm going to send the follow-up email, right? All of you guys should have a copy of that. It's How to Win the Money Game. It is a wealth of resources. It's just a little blurb. It also gives them a link to the YouTube BOP right? This another 15-minute video of Jody doing it that just recaps it. Because if they want to see it again, or they want to tell their husband or their wife about it, it's going to be really great to have it from someone's words instead of their, recap. It's like a minute and a half hype video, and then it's your registration link, right? So that is our follow-up email. If anybody doesn't have it and you want it, just shoot me a text and I'll forward that to you so you can put your link in there and that kind of stuff. But every single time we do a BOP, whether they join right then or they don't, that email goes out to them, right? But I also schedule an appointment within 24 to 48 hours to have a follow-up conversation. If they're going to register, great, we're going to start them up. If they're still thinking about it, great, we're going to follow up. And at that same in that next appointment, I have the conversation, right? I'm like, okay, so we talked a couple of days ago. Remind me, what intrigues you the most out of what we've talked about so far? What questions do you have, right? And I start this conversation all over again. But if you were going to give this business a try, Cheryl, why would you be doing it? What would you hope to gain from it? Right? And I want to hear what they have to say. This is an interview. I don't have to let them work with us. Right? And I think sometimes we forget that. I think sometimes we forget that we hold those keys to the gate, but we do, right? If I don't like you, I'm probably just gonna be like,
And
this isn't a fit. And I wish you the best and I hope you do well, but I'm thinking maybe this isn't the right fit for you. Use it.
yes, absolutely. Takeaway is a confidence in what you have to offer, and then the takeaway aspect are two very, very powerful things that you can learn. How you can not be mousy when you're asking these questions and when you're delivering the opportunity that we have. And then secondly, if somebody comes back at you and they're negative, or they try to change the narrative in the conversation, you can say, I mean, like Kimberly said, I really don't think this is going to be a good fit. I think I'm going to keep looking for somebody else, but thanks for your time. And they're like, what? You can't say no to me. I'm saying no to you. And really that can change things. It can calm somebody down. It can take them off their high horse. And, when they come from feeling pursued to feeling unwanted, it's a different, they approach the conversation differently. So just, that all comes with, personal interaction and learning more about how to have those kind of conversations, but never be afraid and to take away or to pull back a little bit, and also never forget the value of what you have. This is not a convince and sales business.
I
This
can
is
get paid if they sign up,
not at all.
right? None of that matters to me. It matters to me if they come in and get started, go to work, and we're all successful.
Yeah, I mean, and I've said that before. I say if you're not going to make any money, or you don't see the value. That's what Raheem said last time when he was talking about it. If you don't see the value in what we're doing, don't pay the $199, because that's just taking money out of your pocket for no reason. I don't even get paid on that. So if you don't see the value in what we do, then I'll keep looking for somebody that does. And then it's kind of like, well, what value? Did I miss something? Yeah, you missed something. So that's the basic. Fear of loss is 10 times more motivational than a possibility of gain. And when you understand that about human nature, and when I heard that the first time, I realized, wow, that's why the scripts that we have work the way that they do. And that's why we need to know we're not looking for just people on our team. We're looking for the right people on our team. And to get to that, we got to get past the wrong people, because there are a lot of people that aren't going to do what is necessary to be successful in our business. Doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean we don't want to help them with their financial plan, but we probably don't want them muddy in the waters and in the way of our business and its growth. So just know that when you go into this, it is an interview, and you are deciding if you want to offer them your link or if you want to withhold it for the next person.
So again, if you were going to give this business a try, why would you be doing it? What would you hope to gain from it, right? It probably redirects to whatever they said before about what intrigues them the most. And then I'm just going to say, do you have any questions about any particular aspect of our company or business? I know there's a lot out there, and you're going to learn. And remember, we're going to feed it to you one bite at a time. But do you have any burning questions right now that I can answer for you to help you make a decision, and answer whatever their question is, right? And then I'm going to say, okay, awesome. Well, Gail, let's say you were to work with us in 6 months. How much would you need to make so you felt like it was worth your time? So how much would you want coming in on a monthly basis, let's say 6 months from now, to make sure you felt like it was worth your time? They're going to give you a number. I'm going to say, all right, Well, let's talk about this. Assuming that you've been here for 6 months, how much would make you really excited? And they're going to give you a number. That's their range. That's their minimum. That's their big number, right? And now we know how serious they are because the next question is, okay, if I could show you exactly how to make $10,000 a month in 6 months, how to do that, how serious would you be? And don't say another word. If they're like, well, I'd have to really think about it and decide if it's really worth my time, and you know they make $30,000 a year right now, you're like, okay, we're missing something here. But it tells you who they are, right? Ask those questions and see. And then I would just say, from what you've told me, I can't think of any logical reason for you not to give this business a try. Can you? And they're going to answer that yes or no. They're either going to sign up right then, or you're going to send them your registration link, right? And that follow-up email, and you're going to schedule that time to help them get started. The reason you schedule that time is because you have to have another time to get back together. One of the biggest mistakes I've made, and I've made it multiple times, is Gail says she's going to sign up. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to send you my link. And as soon as you do, text me and we'll get back together. And then Gail never texts me, and then we never get back together, right? And then I reach out, I'm like, hey, let's get back on because I should have scheduled an appointment, but I didn't, right? And you're like, oh, I'm busy right now. And then we just lose the ability to have that follow-up conversation. So always schedule that next appointment so you can continue the conversation until you have a yes or a no and you're actually finished with that task. Schedule another meeting. And then obviously this is Jody's favorite line, right? Do you want strong lead? I can't even speak.
Yeah. So
Can you say it?
once they say yes and they're ready to go, then you're moving into the next phase of this interview, if you will. And you want to, like Raheem showed us last time, use those the fast start things. Write these things down, but you have notes that you can make on that. But when they say yes and they get started, the next part is, do you want weak leadership or strong leadership from me? And it's not fluff. It's really literally, so you can circle back to that because you've all had it. If you haven't, you will. You'll have people that come in and they're excited and they want to go to work. And then for whatever reason, they get stuck in one of the filters and they're not doing what they need to do. And you start to push them and give them that strong leadership that they asked for, and they push back. And you say, as Hubert would say to me so many times, I'm sorry, I thought you wanted to be, outstanding. I thought you wanted to be, I'll back off of you. You told me you wanted this kind of leadership, and I'm just giving you what you asked for. If something's changed, right? But this is where you get them really dialed in and really focused on how serious you are. A lot of this hiring interview is posturing. A lot of it is letting them know that you're not here messing around, right? So a week leader, and they say, well, what is that? And what do you mean by that? And I'll say a week leader is somebody that's going to leave everything to chance and let you kind of feel your way through it and all that. And a strong leader is going to be somebody that's going to walk you through each step by step, without leaving anything to chance. Okay, I want strong leadership from you because I want you to walk me through everything step by step. Awesome. So here's the first thing we got to do then. Let's get started. Boom. We're on this call. Get it done.
And read through these like on this script right here. Like it's so calculated. All right. So step one, we got to get you started, right? So let's go ahead. I'll share my screen. We'll do the registration link and get you registered. Step number two is to get your prospect list. I'd like to get this done today so you can get started making money quickly. If they're saying yes today, they want to make money quickly, right? So there's no reason to delay the inevitable. And step number three is to get your own financial plan started. Why? There are three different reasons. Number one, it's tough to sell something you don't own and you don't believe in. So we need to show you what that looks like for you. Number two, people will often say, ask if you own it. And it's interesting when you say, no, I don't need it, but you do, right? People are like, what does that mean? And number three, they're the finest plans available in the industry, and your family deserves them. But really, the other thing that I say here is this is the best training you will ever have, ever. You're going to see it from two different lenses. You're going to see this as a client, and you're going to see this as an associate, right? So when you're sitting down with people, you're telling people what you're going to be doing. This exercise, if you will, is your best example to articulate what we do. And if you have any gaps in your plan, we're going to help you fill them, and it's going to make sense to you. And they're like, oh, okay, absolutely. Yes, I want to get my plan done, right? And then ultimately, let's identify 3 people that we want to share this message with. We want to share people what you're doing, and whether you get their referrals, they come to work with you, you help them with their plan. It doesn't really matter. We just want to start spreading this message. We just want to tell people what you're doing, right?
Yeah, and I really want to bring this back to a conversation that I've had, and we have a lot of conversations in the, outside of the Indian contingent in our company. That's like, what do they do that's so different? Well, we've already talked about work ethic. We've already talked about the need to work after hours, because a lot of them are here on visa status that requires them to keep a full-time job. All those obstacles that they put in work, they put in work, they put in work. But also, it was the funniest thing, Jody was asking him, he tells this story a lot, when he first started working with their group, where do you find your prospects? And they looked at him like he was crazy. And they said, well, these are all my best friends. These are the people that I've grown up with. This is my mom. This is my cousin. These are my best friends. And collectively, it's a big unfair, I guess, generalization. But we, not first generation Americans, have a tendency to want to start away from our families, because we don't want to be, we don't want them saying things to us that hurt our feelings. We don't want them. But I'm telling you right now, that's the minefield, that when you get through it, first of all, nobody can ever look at you when something bad happens and say, you didn't tell me. And the people that you care about the most are the ones you want to be able to, you want to get them protected. You want to get them planned. You want to get them protected from taxes. You want to get them to understand those things. You want to get them protected in the event of an untimely death or whatever else. You got to get through that minefield. And that's going to make your skin thick. You're also going to get business. You're going to get encouragement from some, and you're going to get people that are, and that's where the, if you don't join me, watch me thing comes in, right? So get through that first. So that's what we want to do as a trainer, is we want to start first with that list. And Raheem really hit that last time when he talked about it too, is everybody's got that list. Everybody does. I know there's some family dynamics that you're going to run into some things where you're, nope, I ain't calling my sister, right? I'm not doing that. But whatever, that's a one-off, right? So we want to start with that, and we want not to turn them loose to go make those contacts. We want to make those contacts then. And it's so simple. We did a little bit of this on our last couple of retreats, and we will bring it back up again. But the 3-way calls and the quick Zooms, and we're going to talk about the introduction presentation here in just a minute. It's very important to go through that list and make sure that they're not left off of it. And if you get somebody that's new and they start and they give you a list and they talk about, well, this guy was my boss when I used to work at Radio Shack 25 years ago, and I think he'd be great. Haven't seen him since then, but we need to start there. Wrong answer, right? I have a picture of a person in my mind. That's me thinking through somebody that I would like. But at the same time, that's not where you need to start. And that tells you that there's a question mark in their mind about what we're going to be saying, and their belief needs to be notched up a little bit. So, but anyway, that hiring interview is very intentional, and it's step by step. It doesn't have to be done in a steady flow, because it could be over 2 different meetings. It could be over a couple of different things. But until, like Kimberly said, you get that, this is not for me, and I'm not going to sit down with you and let you do my plan, you're going to want to have that follow-up scheduled. We had talking about the younger group. We had one of them said, I'm in, my wife and I want to go with this. I just got to wait till payday. And that's not for 2 more weeks. And Kimberly set up another follow-up call within 24 to 48 hours just to make sure they got back together. And just so regardless.
And then I scheduled their FNA, because we still have 2 weeks, right? And
Yeah.
if not, then what if in 2 weeks he's changed his mind? That happens, right? If I haven't done his plan, I haven't done his FNA, I haven't helped him and I haven't helped me, right? So we're going to sit down, we're going to put your plan together. And, while everything else is working itself out, then you'll have a better idea of what we do. And you'll know that your plan is in place, and you're moving forward in life. And that's how we should always do that. And you guys, I don't have it where I need to organize my computer where I can just pull up, like Jody does, his little things, but you guys have seen, right, that the BOP, the business opportunity presentation, it's always going to lead to that green box, right? Whether they say yes, I want to come to work with us, and we do their plan as part of an associate, right? Whether they say no, this isn't for me, great, let me do your plan. Whatever, it's always going to lead to that green box. So if you have some pushback or you have some time, just because life is in the way and life is lifing, schedule the F&A, right? Make sure that their plan is taken care of, and everything else will continue to come back to that conversation. Okay, so I'm gonna go over. What are you laughing at?
I'm just laughing at what I wanted to say, but it doesn't fit right here, so we'll
Oh,
break
it
it up.
doesn't? Will you remember it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen one more time. Some of you guys have seen this presentation, but I think it's a great one, and I think it's very valid right now for a lot of our newbies, our new babies. And I think it's just a great reminder of what we do and what we talk about. The majority of our business, the majority of our time should be spent in prospecting, right? We talk about that all the time. 90% of our time should be spent in the approach and contact. The rest of it is just going to filter through those filters. So we're going to talk about the approach and contact today. Maybe if I can click my screen. Step number 1 is the scenario of disaster. This is something that we all have to remember, and we have to protect our new babies from, right? It's like Hubert says, when you have a baby and you want to feed them, you're not going to give them a steak day one, right? They need to have milk and all the things that babies need. You're not just going to be like, here's your steak, eat it. You have no teeth or whatever. Exactly the same thing. Are you laughing at me?
I am, and regardless, and I say this a lot, we have a lot of successful professionals and people that are very confident in their abilities. This is not, there's zero exception to this. If you're new and you're just getting started in a different world, this is not the world you're coming from. We've hired prison wardens, school superintendents. We've hired people that have run small cities, right? We've had people that are government officials on our team over the years. And it does not matter what level of success you're coming from. If it's not in this world, this will happen. Because you will think, I don't need to do this. I can have all the right words and nope, you can't. You're just going to burn through your market and you're going to sound silly. So remember, the scenario of disaster applies regardless of where you're coming from, who you are, what your friend group is like, how many people you influence on social media. It is exactly the same. You have to get it right first. So enthusiasm is incredibly important. You've got to be enthusiastic and believe in what you're excited about.
Because if you're not, remember the original part of this conversation we started, nobody likes a Debbie Downer or an Eeyore or just...
Fastest way, not that anybody cares, but the fastest way to get hidden from my social media feed is to complain. Because I literally, I don't care what it is. I'm going to snooze for 30 days and then they'll pop back up later. And if they're a different person,
most of them are still complaining.
But most of them aren't. And guess what? How many of those people get snoozed? You want to eliminate your social media reach? Be one. I mean, just go out there and complain and whine. You will be hidden from so many, or unfriended. I mean, you will be gone. So realize, be enthusiastic. It creates curiosity. People want to know. They ask questions. And you have to be able to not try to answer those questions because you will answer them wrong.
Or just incomplete.
Yeah, but the key is here with this is you want to get them to the meeting. So giving them less and keeping them curious is what gets them to agree to sit down. You don't want to give them all the answers and show them how smart you are, because then one of two things is going to happen. They're going to go, wow, she knows way more than I do, and I could never do whatever it is she's talking about. Or they're going to say, I know a little bit, and what they said is wrong on 3 different points. I'm not going to listen to these people anymore. So just don't answer. Schedule the meeting, schedule the appointment. So
I wanted to add too, I think it's really important for new people to tell your friends and family or whoever you're trying to set appointments with that you're in training. That way it takes the heat off of you. And when they start asking a number of questions, just say, you know what, that's a great question. However, I'm still in training. This is why I want to introduce you to the expert and whoever that field trainer of yours is.
Absolutely. And I've said so many times, remember your story and remember you. And this is another reason why the FNA is so important for the new person getting started. Because I've said so many times, I can tell you right now, I'm excited about what they've been able to teach me and what we're going to be able to do for my plan. But I can't tell you how, what, or why. I just know that I sat down with somebody that knew what they were talking about, and I learned some things that I hadn't heard before. But you need to sit down with us.
And I'll tell you, I mean, as you know, you guys hear us talk about Jeannie a lot, but as brilliant as she was, because she was brilliant, she acted dumb. And she would always be like, I don't know. That's a really great question. I'm going to write that down and get you an answer. Let's get back together in a couple of days and we'll talk more about it. She knew exactly how to answer that question every single time, but she's just like, I don't know. I'll find out. And people loved her for it, right? So just because you know it all doesn't mean you have to tell them you know it all, right? The intention is to schedule that next appointment and to give yourself a reason to continue the conversation. If you do it all at that one time, it's over with and you don't ever have a chance to get back together. Next thing, remember, people have two antennas, right? Don't recruit me and don't sell me. I can't stand being recruited and I can't stand being sold, right? We all feel that way. Walk into a car dealership. Now it's really weird because walking into a car dealership now, they don't even come out and talk to you anymore. It's just so weird, don't you think?
Well, yeah, but I mean, the last several cars I bought, I've basically made the deal online via chat and back and forth, and I'm going in with an individual to talk to. So that world has changed.
But think about how it used to feel, right? Think about you women walking into a women's clothing store and they will not leave you alone. And you like, maybe y'all don't, but I hate shopping anyway. Had to do it for the last 2 days with Reagan because it's been raining in Boston. But when somebody walks up to me and they're like, hi, can I help you? And I'm like, no, thanks. I'm just looking. And then they won't walk away and they keep shoving things in my face. Like I literally feel like I'm suffocating and I can't stand it and I leave, right? Because I don't want to be sold. You might can come up in 10 minutes and offer me a recommendation, but if you don't leave me alone for a minute and let me just like breathe for a second, I'm out. I can't stand it. Exactly the same thing in recruiting, right? These are the basics about people. Number one, they're quick to jump to conclusions. I'll tell you a quick story. So you guys know we're all in these Facebook groups, and this one girl asked yesterday, she was like, in this Charleston Facebook group, she was like, what do you guys do? So if you can afford to live on your own. And she was an x-ray tech or something like that in Charleston. And she was like, I can't afford to live on my own with what I do, but I'd like to be able to have a place by myself. And so all these people are talking about advanced degrees and all this kind of stuff. Well, you know me, right? I get on there and I'm like, well, there are a lot of people that work with us part-time. An average beginning contract level clients, and I said it a little more articulately, pays about $1,500. And I was like, basically, we teach people how money works. If that's something that you're interested in, I'm happy to talk with you more. And I left it very vague because I think you should, right? I left it on there. Well, like 20 minutes later, it still pisses me off. I'm like, you people, this anonymous person, because, they can hide themselves, just in the comments said pyramid scheme. And I was like, the audacity of you to say this on my comment, right? Like, are you kidding me? But people are quick to jump to conclusions, right? That's also why the hidden pyramid scheme scammer, like person that's not even brave enough to have their name on there, they'll always just be an internet troll, and they'll always be an internet troll. To stop there. But anyway, I responded back and I laughed because what do you say, right? I laughed at like this little laughing emoji. I was like, nope, life insurance and financial service is not a pyramid scheme, but the money business does pay big money. And I just kind of left it at that, right? But it tells you, and this is the truth, people are quick to jump to conclusions immediately, right? They are skeptical. They procrastinate. It's got to be too good to be true. So it is. I'm not going to do this right now. I'm going to wait and I'm going to go get an advanced degree and pay $15,000 for that and 5 more years. And then maybe I can make $200 more a month or something, right? They dream of great wealth. They really do. And they're curious, but they don't think they can sell. And if you tell people that's what you're doing, then they don't want to do that because they don't like salespeople either, right? They want to be their own boss. They would like to have a business of their own, but they doubt that they ever could or they ever would. This is literally word for word out of the leadership format system. Word for word. right? Go look at the basics about people. But that's what we're dealing with. And the reason we don't say a lot isn't because we want to trick someone, isn't because we don't want to fully disclose everything. It's that we're literally protecting them from themselves until we can get into a larger conversation and really have a conversation with them so they can make an educated decision on if they're interested in working with us, getting their life in order or not. That's up to them, right? Points to remember in making contact. Number one, show enthusiasm. Do you guys remember? It's my favorite video ever. The Dancing Man, the leadership rules from the Dancing Man from that YouTube video. Do you guys remember that? I would stand up and do it, but I'm not a very great dancer.
It's how to start a movement is what
How
the
to start a
video
movement.
is if you want to find it, and it's a
But it's
It's fun.
fantastic, right? So it's this music festival, and this crazy old hippie man literally stands up and he's just like going to town all by himself, and everybody around him, like you can see him, they're looking at him, they're like, the dude's on something, right? Like he is feeling his vibe. And then randomly his first follower stands up and they start dancing with him too, right? And now they're both having their own little world. And then magically 10 minutes later, the entire hill is standing up and the world around them is just dancing and having their own movement, right? And so that's what we mean when we say show enthusiasm. Don't be tentative, right? Be excited about what we do. Nobody wants to, I don't know if it was Hubert or Art Williams, but nobody wants to follow a dull, disillusioned crybaby, right? Like that's what they say. I think it was Art, right?
Yeah.
We have a first-class professional quality company, right? You can literally change your life if you want to. Don't get into extensive questions and answers. For you, it's premature. Or if you're not scheduled on that meeting, even if you are the leadership, it's premature, right? Let them hear it from someone else. Let them hear it from an experienced leader. Bring the person to the meeting yourself. If it's something that you can say, hey, let's grab a cup of coffee. I'll pick you up. Right? Arrange to pick them up, meet at a neutral site, or give them directions to your office or the coffee shop or whatever.
In today's terms, that means when you have a Zoom meeting and it's scheduled with Kimberly or with myself or whoever your trainer is, you need to be there too.
Oh yeah.
And that sometimes goes without saying, but we've had people that
With your camera on.
with your
like,
camera on and
engaged.
so that it shows value in what they're about to hear. Like Jody said yesterday, we're not in the same brick and mortar world that we were when Kimberly and I started in the business and when they started with the leadership format system. So we have to kind of change our way of doing things too. But that meeting, it's incredibly important for you, if you want to learn, to be there. And that kind of goes without saying, but we have had some situations where people have said, Kimberly, can you do this bot for me tomorrow at 3:00? And the assumption is they're going to be there. And the new person shows up and Kimberly shows up and the teammate doesn't show up. And
then there's no relationship, right? Occasionally that will happen where you can't be there. As long as I know it ahead of time, that's a different conversation. But the goal for me doing this with you guys, or Gail doing it, or Cheryl or Charlene or whoever, is for you to learn, right? And ultimately, at some point, we want you to have your own businesses and we want you to teach your own babies. And if you're not on these appointments and these meetings and having these conversations, you can't learn. So the step number 4, whenever possible, invite both the husband and the wife. I can't tell you how many times over and over and over and over and over again, even now, they're like, oh my God, this sounds amazing. I need to speak with my wife. I need to speak with my husband. And I'm like, dang, right? Especially if it's a bot, because it's just this casual, let me show you what I do. And now they're ready to go and they're super excited. And I got to save them from the scenario of disaster with their spouse. It's tough, right? I promise you, spouses will kill you fast if you let them.
Yep.
We'll tell you that story later. But that's also why that follow-up email with that bot in there is a great email to send, because they have that recap. Master the invitation script. This gives you the verbal tools to effectively communicate who we are and what we do, and learn to be a mobile inviter. It was funny yesterday. Raphael posted after our RMD call. He posted.
You said, but their fans did not disappoint.
And he said, he posted it after our RMD call, and he was like, do I know anyone in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, or Connecticut or something like that? And I was like, me, because obviously I'm here. But he also posted a picture because if you haven't seen it on your home screen on your dashboard on your team, it shows you where you have teammates, right? It's colored, and you can like hover over it and it'll see how many states you have teammates in. And those are the only 3 states he didn't have teammates in. I thought that was fantastic, right? But I'm in Boston or in New England for the next however long I'm up here. It feels like forever. I should be out there meeting people, talking to people, and saying, hey, right? That means every trip I make up here to see my kids is tax deductible because I'm working, because I got teammates up here. So just think about things like that. We have scripts. It is there at your fingertips to listen to practice with, and to protect you from yourself. Contact, scripts and invitations, phone calls, coffee and lunch dates, networking, the 3-way calls, a quick Zoom, a video drop, Zabrazu, social media. We have all of those things. I was listening to a Facebook news video from somebody at home, and the beer craze was huge forever, right? Craft beer and breweries and all this kind of stuff, and it became this huge gathering point. And in Charleston, they were saying, and it was huge in Charleston, that they've closed 6 breweries in the last year, like places that were making their own beer that people used to go to, breweries that I know. And there are all these different reasons why, but at the end, the guy that's still succeeding in that world, he said, honestly, he said, I call it what does he call it? The loneliness, what did he say?
It's the epidemic or pandemic of loneliness.
The pandemic of loneliness. And he said he really thinks it's a post-COVID issue that we all have, right? Is that people don't go out anymore. It's not the beer that they don't want to drink. It's that they're not involved in those social activities. In this world, you have to figure out your social environment. You got to go where the people are, because people, other than maybe social media, which takes a long time to cultivate, and it works. And, those of you that have done it know that. But other than that, you got to be out there meeting people. This is a people business. Sorry, just had to tell you that, right? You've seen the scripts. What do? Answer the question very, very vaguely with our script, but then flip it back and always ask them what they do, because that's an important question. Is, oh, this is what I do. Gil, what do you do? Tell me about you. I want to know about you. It doesn't matter about me. I want to know about you. And they like you more. Set the 15-minute appointment. You guys have these scripts in our WhatsApp group. Your goal is to set an appointment. I don't care what you say it quickly. Can we hop on Zoom tomorrow for about 15 minutes? I want to show you what I'm doing. Great. I'll see you at 6:30. Awesome. Set an appointment. That's your goal. Who do you know? This is a fantastic recruiting script. Debbie and Elaine and I used it in Blue Ridge. It was funny and it was hilarious. And if you go out somewhere where you don't know people, you can't mess it up, right? Because you just go to another store and you just say it again until you get comfortable with it. This was Jeannie's magic.
It's also very non-threatening, and I want to leave you guys with this, because I know we're running up on the end of the call. But when you're out talking and you're out of your element, right? And when you are when you're out, if you can put the other one back up there, but that's all right. I know what it is. If I'm having a random conversation with somebody at a bar, or we're watching a football game, or in an elevator or whatever, and I say, "Are you from around here?" I mean, that's a very easy question. There's a yes or a no answer, and they say yes. Awesome. I bet you know who do you know that would be interested in something part-time, flexible? The money's really good, but I don't want just anybody. What can they do there? They can say, doing what, which I have an answer for in the script. They can say, I might be interested. They can say, John or Sally might be interested, or they can say, I don't know anybody. None of those should hurt my feelings. I said, are you from around here? Yes or no? They said yes. I said, oh, I bet you might know who I'm looking for. And you can sandwich that in with, well, you're a pretty sharp guy, or I bet you know who I'm looking for. So then there's a compliment that goes in there, and they go, yes, I am a sharp guy. And I bet I do know. So all that is just to say, these things work when you follow the scripts, when you follow the manual, when you follow those kind of things. And then just practice, just get good at that. Get good at talking to people that you don't know. And the only way you get good, like we started with, is to do it over and over and over and over again. So that, if you don't have the scripts, let us know. We'll put them back out there again. I know some people joined our WhatsApp group since, and the way WhatsApp works is if you haven't if we haven't put the document or the link in there since you joined, you don't have access to it. So occasionally we will refresh those documents so that they're still there for the newer people.
And this is what I want to leave you guys with, right? So we talk all the time about 90-day madman cycles, right? We talk about Hubert's business, and he literally built his business with 4 consecutive 90-day madman cycles, which is 2 years, 4. No, anyway, however long that is.
It's
Maybe
1
it was 8. I
That
think
was
it was 8.
That would be
1
1
year.
year.
I think it was 8
Yes.
consecutive 90-day madman cycles. So a total of 2 years. And basically that means for that 90 days, he was like all in, crazy madman focused on his business, right? And that focus wasn't in writing policies. It was adding people, right? Distribution. And that was his only focus for that 90-day period of time. And then he'd pause for a minute. And if you guys haven't read The Magic of Compound Recruiting, which is the orange book, it's in the back office, go read it. But he would pause for a minute and he would get some leaders in that 90-day group of people up and running and going quickly, right? And then once that was happening, those guys would run that organization. He would do it again. And he did that literally over and over and over again for a 2-year period of time. And I don't have the ability, or I don't know how to do it on this internet thing, but Jody shared this yesterday about Elon Musk. And he was like, how does Elon juggle Tesla and SpaceX and all these other things that he does simultaneously and make unbelievably amazing companies out of each of them? Is it really because he's superhuman? Maybe a piece of it, right? But ultimately, when people ask him what he does, he said he doesn't juggle them simultaneously, but rather in cycles of extreme focus. Like this is his little thing, right, that he shared yesterday. And that's exactly what we're talking about with a 90-day madman cycle. We literally have, what, 10 weeks before the end of the year, right? If it's the second week in October, we literally have 10 weeks before the end of the year. How many people do you know that would like to have an extra $1,500, $3,000, $5,000 for Christmas presents this year? Probably every single one of them. How possible is it for anyone to come into this business, put their head down, go to work, pass a test, even if it took them a week to do it and they were miserable and poking their eyes out with an ice pick, but could literally turn around and even if they just sold, go out and make $1,500, $3,000, $5,000 before Christmas?
It's very
Every
possible.
single
Mhm.
person.
Mhm.
Right? So take this time, have intense, crazy focus for the end of the year, because how we end the year is how we start the year, right? It's not time to slow down, it's time to speed up. And let's go out there and spread our message. So
And I would tell you that I can't, because of the time of year that it is. First thing you got to do is you got to commit to being at Top Gun. If your car broke down and you need to get to work, you would figure out a way to fix it. So this is part of getting to work. If you truly want to be successful in our business, you have to be at the large events. So get registered and get committed to being there. And then secondly, I would say that if you could take 5 people that are not on your team right now and you could bring them with you, 5 new people that have not been exposed to the business or anything else between now and the end of the year, get them in, get them registered for Top Gun and bring them with you. Your business will never, ever, ever look the same. If you want 2026 to be the year where your business takes off, it's all going to be predicated on how many people you bring with you to Top Gun. That will be the measure of your success. And I think that should be very, very front and foremost about anybody that comes on board right now or that's already here, is making sure that they're there for that launch, because that's massive.
okay, big kisses. I'm gonna share this YouTube in our WhatsApp chat. I'll also share Raheem's. Like, subscribe, do all that YouTube fun stuff. And we'll see you tomorrow at noon for the Products and Concepts call. And if you need us, we're here, we're working.
Yep.
Talk to you
And you're
soon.
going to want to be there if you can for the Products and Concepts call, because we're talking about some things that are very timely for right now.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you.
You're
Perfect.
welcome.